Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Court, yes, we're on right now.
Good, you sound a little faint.
Yeah, do I sound faint?
Yeah, this call's a little bit faint.
Oh, okay. You can hear now. You can hear fine though, right?
Yeah, but it's a little low. Maybe you don't understand the meaning of faint.
Yeah,
It means
faint.
you can't hear fine.
Oh, well, no, I understand, but usually all the guests can hear. Okay, I mean we're doing the best we can.
Hear okay.
Yeah, that's.
I'm just saying when I say you sound a little faint, and you can hear fine though. Okay, I'm like, what does faint mean? It means no, you can't hear that well.
We're doing the best we can. We're in the East Village. We're independent.
I know.
It's not.
I like how you tried to come. You tell me to come to the podcast. You're like, hey, if you come to my podcast, I know you're busy with the show. Come, we'll make it at your convenience. I'm like, yeah, no kidding, Tim.
But
you think I'm one of your peers? Hey, Tim, I want to be on your podcast.
Well, that's what we said. We said we'd make it as easy as possible. You know, we could even come to you.
Oh, of course you would.
Right.
That's what everybody says to everybody.
Sure, but you're a big get, so we wanted to.
I know that.
Yeah, we wanted to handle it appropriately. We wanted to make you feel comfortable.
But that's what I'm saying. You didn't have. By saying something that's a given, you didn't handle it appropriately.
Right. So what should I have done? Should I have played like you weren't a big get and just said, "Here's when we record"?
No.
Right. That's not the move either.
No, it should have been. I don't know what you would do. That's a good question.
Right.
I guess maybe. What's that?
I thought about how do I message Colin Quinn. I even asked a few people. They're like, just message him, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, either way, it's been a disaster because I'm not coming down.
I know.
And you know what? as much as I hate podcasts, and as much as I like you, is how much I hate podcasts. I don't do anyone's podcasts. I'm just sick of them. I've been doing them for years. They make me angry.
Well, you and Bobby Kelly said that you and him invented the first podcast.
Yeah, he did, and I just joined in with him. Yeah, he did.
He did.
Bob invented MySpace and podcasts, and he got no money out of either one.
Well, he
really did.
He does it for. Did he really invent MySpace?
Yes, ask him. He'll tell you the whole story. He invented it, and Dane, who was good friends with Bobby, ran with it. You know what I mean? And it was a big thing for a minute, but Bob kind of invented MySpace, you know?
Oh, interesting, because he always says he did the first podcast with you, and it was something on Google Chat, yeah. Well, we appreciate. Well,
I wish I could say Bob's lying, but he's not. He really did come up with two things that are,
Well, he should have been an inventor then. I don't know. Well, I feel bad. We would have loved to have you on. It would have been a great episode. You could have told us about old New York or something.
Yeah, well, maybe someday we'll do it. Maybe we'll come on someday after my show. So we'll talk about old Long Island rather than old New York.
Yeah, old Long Island.
Talk about old Saybrook.
That's more interesting. When does your show end?
Next week, St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, wow.
I'm familiar with that day.
I am familiar. And is that your last performance, St. Patty's Day?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
cool. And by the way,
yeah.
The other reason I'm so happy now I didn't do the podcast is because when your producer's English, wait till I tell your relatives about that one.
Yeah, he's Australian, so they're okay. He's Australian. Yeah, we don't hire English. We won't do that. But
the Australians are the first Irish. Yeah.
Right. The Australians, you cannot love them. They're drunk. They live in a barbecue. They're fine.
They were Irish. They kicked them out for being Irish.
Yeah, they kicked them out. They're just a nation of criminals. Do you really think America needs to break up? Like your show says that America needs to break up. Do you really think that's
I think you think it too. You're a smart guy.
I agree.
What's going to happen? Is it seeming like it's getting more coherent and more healing,
No.
It's only getting worse,
Yeah, but you just wonder how that would happen, because one of the reasons I love the show is because that's something people talk about after the show is like, they're like, well, what would that even look like, It
would look like the NCAA March Madness.
Right. Everybody would go. But would you want to stay in New York? Or I don't know if I'd want to stay in New York. I might have to go to Texas or something.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I
Never thought the day would come, but yeah,
I might have to go somewhere else. I
agree.
Well, I appreciate it. And listen, if hopefully we could try to figure out a way to get you down here. I don't know what, maybe a corned beef sandwich or, since a heart attack, you're probably eating healthier now. So
I'm not eating healthy, but corned beef, I never liked corned beef, I'm ashamed to say.
Yeah, I thought if any one of Brian's clients had a heart attack, it was going to be me. So it's nice to, because I will eventually have one. So it's nice to, did he come to the hospital? Was he like a good manager in that respect?
Oh, of course he came,
Yeah.
He came, Brian, you know how Brian is.
Of course.
He comes, he sits home. The good thing about Brian is that he sits in his house and he goes, okay, I got to go to the hospital. And him and his wife go, what's the heart attack outfit? They spent 20 minutes picking out what would be appropriate to go visit somebody in the hospital who just had a heart attack.
That's so true. That's so true. And then he shows up in a pair of like white linen pants. Something so crazy. I mean, he's worn things, and this is our manager, but he's worn things where I'm like, this guy is really, like, he's got a level of confidence. It's amazing because he just, pastel silk shirts, white pants, like Hawaii 5-0, Miami Vice, like crazy.
I get more compliments on his clothes than I do on my act. Women are like, oh, your manager really knows how to dress.
Yeah. He looks like he's 20. He looks like he's 27, and I don't know his age. It's like he sold his soul to the devil because he doesn't age.
Yeah.
So, he's an interesting character. But do you feel better now, like with health-wise? Do you feel like you're doing fine?
Yeah, I feel very good. I feel fine. But I mean, I go to the gym, but we are Irish, so there's only limited physical ability.
Right.
As we grow older and mentally more astute than all other people's combined.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, as we age, let's face it, we only become smarter, and you know what I mean.
Yes.
I'd like to do some SAT testing in our 60s. And see how we do then. You know what I mean?
100%. I think we would be. We are a race of people that are intelligent when it doesn't matter. That's what I would say. Our best qualities tend to make themselves known right when it completely doesn't matter, and it's
a beautiful description.
Well, that's what it is. My grandfather was like an armchair philosopher. He was a great reader. He loved everything, and he was really sharp. And at the height of his powers, he dropped dead. And that was it.
Oh God,
that's kind of the
our best quality. I swear to God, that should be one of the Irish mottos. Our best qualities come out when it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they really surface towards the end. When they start coming, you got 18 months left to live. Are you a guy that you think it's true? Will you stay in?
I know it is. That's why I'm laughing.
Why don't you ever go to L.A.? You never go to. I was in L.A. for a month, and everyone's like, Colin Quinn's. He never comes here, and all the L.A. comics.
I used to live there.
Oh, you did.
I lived there for a couple of years in the 90s, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Because I'm not going out there just to hang out. You know what I mean? Yeah. What's the point? I'm good. You know what I mean? Those days are over for me. I'd go out there if I had something to do, but I'm just not going to go and hang,
Yeah. Yeah, but everybody would love to see it. Like all these guys like, yeah, Colin should come. It'd be great to see him. Did you hate it when you lived there?
No, I'd never go out there. What's that?
Did you hate it when you lived there?
No, I loved it.
Oh, you liked it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I love LA, but yeah.
You're setting your ways.
There's just no reason to go out there. It's like I said, if I was your age, I'd probably say, hey, I'm going to go out and hang out, sleep on my friend's floor.
Right.
And just do podcasts and
right.
Get on at the comedy store.
That's what we do.
What would be...
We go to diners and complain that they don't know who they're booking the wrong people. Yeah, that's all we do.
Yeah, it would be insane for me to do that now. I did that.
Yeah, it's a good point. That's a fair point. Are there any tickets left for your show, or is it pretty much all sold out?
There's always tickets left for my show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
My show is there's always room in the show. It's a big theater for me, you know.
Did you read any? Some of the reviews are great because it's a guy that's like, "Hey, Colin ripped apart both the left and the right, but he shouldn't have done it to the left." It's like every review proves your point.
I know it is interesting, you know, when you see how people like they say, "Hey, that's great." Like philosophically, they know it's the way to think, but then they can't stop from going back to their instinct. You know?
Right. Like they'll
It's
be
really
like,
interesting.
they'll go, Colin's at his best when he swings the hammer at Trump, but he's on far shakier ground when he attacks other people.
Yeah, because they don't get to see enough of that in comedy.
Right.
They don't get to see people. It's a breath of fresh air when he goes after Trump.
Yeah. Where does that? Do you think you're going to shoot this for somewhere, or you don't know yet?
No, nothing yet, but we'll see. You know.
Yeah.
I'll probably know in a couple of weeks. So you know, look, as I always tell everybody, if we don't shoot it anywhere, that's embarrassing at this point.
Right.
I mean, if somebody doesn't do it,
yeah.
I mean, there's 12-year-old kids that are shooting every day of their life. If we can't get this shot somewhere, we're really in trouble.
It's so true.
Maybe I'll ask Lily Singh if she'll put it up on her.
Put it up on her show. Yeah, you got to start. Now, you never started a podcast. You had no interest.
No interest, yeah.
Interesting, because like it's such a big part of our business now. But you like,
I know.
Yeah. Everybody's got this. Seller's got 5. There's tons of them over there. Everybody's got one. The Comedy Store's got 1 million. I mean, it's wild.
I know.
Bookers now have them.
Wild.
Yeah.
Who does?
Bookers. People that book comedy now have
yeah. You're right.
It's crazy. It's wild. There's more.
Really,
there's
crazy.
more articles about bookers than there are about comedians now. It's pretty wild. I mean, it's
there's a lot of things that need to be recalibrated. You know.
Do you think? Last question before I let you go. Do you think the comedy will thin out again and the clubs will close and everybody will jump out of windows and it'll be?
I like the stock. No, I just think I don't feel like the problem. For once, I don't feel like the problem is the comedians. I feel like the problem is society need to recalibrate and realize, you know, that, you know, and I think people will one day go, wait a minute, when are we laughing and what are we laughing at and when are we not laughing?
Right.
So, you know what I mean?
Right.
If it's funny, you know, that's, you know, eliciting laughter is a very strange and kind of magical thing. And sometimes under the guise of that, there's a lot of things where people are you know, are advertising as that. And then if you're not laughing, if people aren't laughing, then it's not going to be comedy after a while. I know it's a radical thought.
It's very controversial.
We'll see what happens.
You're part of the problem.
Yes,
well, listen, Colin, thank you for not coming on. I appreciate it. If there's anything that we can entice you with in the future, please let us know. Remember, it will be at your convenience. It'll be easy for you.
Yes,
it'll be user friendly. And if you've not seen Red State, Blue State, go see it. You're the best. And all right, stay healthy. I'll see you soon, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, bye-bye.
And now, Tim Dillon is going to hell!
Welcome to Tim Dillon's Going to Hell, everybody. Andrew Schulz is here, the guy. His new special is out on his YouTube channel, Views from the Sis. Did it all himself. Fuck the industry. Fuck everybody.
Fuck them all.
Unless you're going to write me a check, which you're not. But if you do, I take everything back. But fucking, it's awesome. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, this has been kind of like a long time in the making.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're a guy that everybody whispers your name when everyone's frustrated about something. people like, well, you know what Andrew Schulz did?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, tell me, man. That
Yeah,
makes
but
me
it's
feel
the
good.
reality is you did it. Because you tried to sell a special
Yeah,
to all these fucking people,
Yeah.
and they didn't buy it.
Nobody, literally nobody.
Nobody bought it.
A network I had a show on said no.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And then you just started dribbling out like you would put out a joke
Yeah.
on YouTube, and it would go viral.
Right.
And you started to organically build this fan base.
Yeah.
And then fucking, it was great. Now you're selling out all over the place.
Yeah, it's unreal, man. First thing I did is I put out like a 15-minute version of the special I filmed.
Yeah.
And the reason I did it like in 15 minutes was because you can learn a lot about comedy from asking people that don't do comedy.
Sure.
Like how they feel about it.
Yeah.
And like everybody I would ask about specials would say the same thing. They'd be like, oh yeah, blah, 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 special was so funny, but I didn't finish it. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, I just didn't finish it. Everybody I asked wasn't finishing it.
Wow.
So I was like, all right, they're too long.
Yeah.
So for the casual fan, they're too long.
Yeah.
Right? So I was
Right.
like, all right, boom, it can't be an hour.
Right.
I got to put out something. The best meal is something you can have one more bite of. So,
Sure.
like, my goal in the comments was that they go, man, I wish this was longer. That was the
Right.
goal.
Right.
Because I knew everything else was too long.
And we did those Netflix 15 minutes. No one said that. No one said it. Everyone was like, man, that felt like an hour.
Where do you think Netflix got that idea?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? You think so?
100%.
100%.
I mean, Comedy Central.
That's wild. I bet you're right.
Comedy Central stole the exact show and did a version of it
Right.
called Thank You, Good Night.
Okay. Yeah,
Whereas,
yeah.
like,
I just taped one of those.
Right, where they follow
Yeah.
you around the city and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's stupid.
But
I mean, it's like
no, it's great. It's a great idea.
Listen, but the way they do it,
Yeah. It's
not-
scripted.
It's so scripted.
I did it
Right.
organic, like
Right.
it's the real cab driver.
So it's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
to me, it's like I mean, it's fine, whatever. God bless, but you did it authentic.
Yeah, and again, this is like I want every comic to do it.
Yeah.
I want all of
Right.
you to get every opportunity you possibly
course,
can.
of
Like,
course.
you got to eat.
Yeah,
it has nothing
yeah.
to do with that. It's
Right.
like I want every comic to see what I'm doing on social and copy it.
Yeah.
It's for you.
Right.
It's for all of us.
Right.
Like this is the larger goal for me here is that like we empower ourselves because that's the best version of comedy.
Yeah.
Like when I'm trying to impress you and you're
Yeah.
trying to impress me, that's
Yeah.
the funniest joke.
That's the best stuff. Yeah.
When we're trying to impress Fox,
yeah. Do you ever?
not a good joke,
how did
you
you?
know?
How did you start doing the show with Charlemagne? That was.
we did Geico together.
Okay, and then you guys started the Brilliant Idiots podcast.
And then we started Brilliant Idiots podcast. Yeah. I saw something good with podcasts, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's something here, man.
And that was how many years ago?
Man, 4 or 5 years ago now.
Right.
It's a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little
So
bit.
yeah, he's just like wildly.
And you've been doing
famous,
comedy a
yeah.
while. You've been because
12 years maybe.
you've been like
coming up on
grinding for a
12.
while,
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
funny, putting everything. Because people always learn the wrong lessons. Like, well, Andrew just overnight
Right.
did all this shit. It's like,
No.
no, but he's killing.
Yeah,
himself.
I did
Yeah.
33 weeks of like I put out the special, which was 15 minutes, and then I did 33 straight weeks of comedy. Like I put a new joke out every week.
Yeah,
So I probably put out like 2 hours of comedy.
yeah,
Maybe more
yeah.
in like a 33 week period.
Sure.
So
Now-
it's like, yeah, if you do that, you'll be where I am.
Right.
It's a simple thing.
Yeah.
It's hard for a lot of people to give away that much material.
Right. Well, a lot of people's jokes aren't funny.
Also
That's the other
that
problem.
Yeah, like
You put a joke out a week, it's not good.
yeah, no, that is true. It
There are
definitely
people
helps,
that are
yeah.
trying to do what you're doing, putting out crowd work every week.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is fine.
Well, that's what I would do if I
it's
was
funny.
Jay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Like Big J is sitting on a gold mine. I've been telling him
Yeah.
this shit for years. It's funny. It's like I've realized like people only think you're a genius if you're rich or dead.
Yeah.
And it's like I've been telling people to do certain things
yeah.
just because I understand like why people are attracted to them
Yeah.
and like what makes
Right.
them tick and what makes
Right.
them work. Like it's just something I have. I don't know what it is. Like I could spend 10 minutes with you
Yeah.
and I can know 3 shows that you should do type of
Right.
thing, right? So it's like, but I think nobody really paid me any mind until like it started to click.
Right.
And then people's survival instinct clicks in,
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, okay, he's selling shows. Okay, if I do that, I'll sell shows.
Do you think people ignored you for the simple fact that you didn't have the evidence yet?
Yeah, of course. And I
Right.
get that. Like, I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
resent people that offer that.
No,
That
of
makes
course,
sense.
yeah.
It's like a homeless person giving you advice. It's
Right.
like, I don't need that from you.
Right, right,
You know
right,
what I mean?
right.
So I think what happened is once they started seeing it and they started seeing that it could apply to them potentially, then they're like, okay, boom, I'll try that or I'll listen to him, et cetera. I mean, I remember conversations. Like I remember I had a conversation with Dave Smith a couple years ago, coming back from Anthony Cumia's house when he was doing the show in his house in Long Island.
Oh, wow.
And I remember just being like, yeah, Dave, like you love politics, man. Like if I was you, I would do a show strictly about that, but I would also get in the Fox News bubble and
get in that world.
And then like,
that
happened for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like I knew it would happen for him. It was just like, was he going to be able to do it and access it, et cetera?
Yeah.
So
do you
like,
think with some comics there seems to be like a hesitancy to promote themselves because they, want to stay true to whatever artistic kind of, whether it's integrity or whatever they think it is?
I don't understand the integrity thing, man, because like, I don't understand. It's like if you don't want to share your material, then don't go on stage.
Yeah, what are you doing? Right.
This is just a bigger stage.
Yeah, I think some people think that they listen to the Louis and the Bill Burr and all that stuff, and in those stories, people maybe learn the wrong lessons because they hear about these guys kind of being ignored or passed over for a very long time, and then eventually it gets through. But those guys are always trying to figure out every different angle. Yeah.
Every angle. And it's like, that was me. Like every door closed for me in stand-up. Literally, the stand-up industry was like, no.
And do you think, what was it? Why do you think that was?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like I could have my suspicions, but it's one of those things like what does talking about the past do for us?
Yeah, but not much.
Yeah, so it's like
much,
like literally nothing. It's like it's like if you got lung cancer and you're like, all right, how do we fix this? And the doctor's going, well, why don't we talk about all the cigarettes you smoke?
Right.
It's like, give me the chemo.
Right.
You're like, what do we? This is the chemo.
Let's show me what to do.
Boom.
Yeah.
So like.
Boom.
Regardless whether it wasn't like the right time, like I think what happened was the networks got fat because they were the only game in town.
Right.
It was like owning a basketball team or a football team.
Yeah.
It's like there's literally a finite amount of competition.
Yeah, they wanted a blood oath from all these people.
Because they could, because that used to be the only place for eyeballs.
Yeah.
The only thing that you could, like the only way people could see you was TV.
Right.
So if you had a key to get into TV, that's a lot of power.
Right.
So we got into this model where we're like, okay, I need to get on TV.
Yeah.
Right? And then we started thinking like, I need to do an hour special. And then like, you even see the greats say shit like, it's not real unless it's an hour. Like Seinfeld was saying that. It's like, you idiot.
Yeah.
Why do you think that it was an hour to fill a block of time on TV?
Sure.
There's nothing artistic.
Right.
If it's
it's
just to fill the air. Right. That's why they decided it's an hour. It's like Game of Thrones episodes sometimes are an hour and 7 minutes. Sometimes they're 53. It's like nobody's going, well, that's not a real episode of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
right. So it's like,
who cares?
It doesn't matter. The special is as long as it is long.
Right.
Now, if it's 15, it's 15.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you're doing, I think, is appealing to a lot of people that want edgy comedy, real, authentic comedy.
Yeah. Because there was no space for it.
There was I mean, it kind of got crowded out by a lot of the whether I hate this word, but kind of the woke crew that kind of came in, and then you've kind of become like a crusader
for sure for
that type of
comedy. It was interesting how it happened because I've always done this type of comedy.
Yeah.
So like for me, I went from being like. People would say I was kind of like douchey or misogynistic on stage.
Right.
And then they started saying like, wow, you're really brave.
Right.
And it's like, bro, I've been doing the same comedy, right? It's like, you know what it is? It's like history dictates your behavior, because like back in the day, the abolitionists, the slavery abolitionists, right? Were like, we got to stop slavery. Like they would be really amazing people back then.
Yeah.
But now they'd be like, what, you just think slavery's wrong? Like, you know what I mean? They're dicks.
Yeah.
So it's like, as culture shifts, I guess so does the perception of you.
Sure.
So it shifted for me, and I think that it needed, and I see you pushing as well.
Yeah.
And like, the way the stars aligned was that like the world needed it. It was a skill I developed over like a lot of fights with audience, a lot of tough times on stage.
I always try to see it from the other people's point of view, even though I don't agree with them.
Sure.
Like, do you ever try to, because like, I would go to a movie with friends and they'd be like 5 movies. It'd be like it'd be all white people or the same white people in every fucking movie.
Yeah.
And it's like movies about spies where you're like, well, they don't have to be fucking white,
Right.
Throw somebody in there. Do you ever
They absolutely have to be white if they're spies.
Right.
You're going to send some black guy to Russia?
Yeah,
you don't think they're going to ask questions?
It's a movie.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. Absolutely.
Which basketball team do you play for?
Yeah.
That's the first question.
Do you ever try to see it from like the other point of view where it's like, oh, I understand.
1000%.
Like a black kid going to see Black Panther is a good thing, and like
Sure.
the idea that people want diversity. I think the way that they're doing it is not particularly helpful.
Yeah, I'm
It
not
seems like an overcorrection.
Yeah, like
Because you're a fan, but you have a lot of black fans.
oh my,
I mean, you're
like
in
if
that world. You
nobody
know,
has
right.
a more diverse fan base than me.
Right.
Like if you come to one of my shows,
Right.
you've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing about it is, by not seeking forced diversity,
Yeah.
I developed the most diverse fan base
Yeah.
in comedy.
Yeah.
Right?
Real
by
diversity.
not forcing it.
Right.
And why is it real diversity? Because
Yeah.
we are connecting on ideas.
Right.
Your ideas aren't black,
Right.
Asian, gay. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's just the joke is the joke.
Right.
It's reptilian. If you have a joke that hits somebody, like people always ask me, like, how do you get away with this? They're like, why are old women laughing at your jokes? It's like they don't have a choice.
Right.
I'm not tapping into a word problem like these nerd comics.
Right.
Right.
You're evoking real laughter.
You
100%.
feel it.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm
Yeah.
saying, it's in here.
Yeah.
Like I can't produce a bit about something I don't care about.
Right.
I have to care.
Yeah, that was my thing too, and that's
Yeah, that's why it affects them.
Right.
You know, that's why you're
Yeah.
gonna have people who are probably very homophobic.
Right.
Fuck with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they don't even
100%.
resonate. Why? They're like,
That's
what's going
The
on?
majority of my audience is homophobic.
Very homophobic.
I mean, people. You know?
But it's comedy's reptilian, man.
Yeah.
It's if you're doing it right,
yeah,
it's reptilian.
Right.
So it's like
it's just deep. It's in there.
the Louis joke with the school thing.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, how could people laugh at that? And
Yeah.
it's like they didn't have a choice.
Right.
You tapped into something that they
Yeah.
all felt. Now, you might say publicly you didn't feel it.
Yeah.
We all say that. Like,
Yeah.
nobody wants to admit, you know, when you're leaving a Chinese restaurant, you're not sure who works there and who's
yeah,
just
yeah.
eating
Of course.
amongst the Asians,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But, like, that's true.
Yeah.
Like, I've
True.
said thank you to
Right.
multiple Asian people that are
Right.
just at the restaurant
Right.
eating.
Yeah. And
That's not my fault.
No. And
It's
they
a
should say you're welcome because it's their culture.
It's their culture, right?
You know?
Yeah.
Do you where are the gay rappers? When's that coming? Is that ever coming? Where are the gay people in sports? I feel like you're an interesting guy to ask this question to. Where is this identity politics fucking realm that we're in now?
Yeah.
Where
We're the gay rappers, man. I don't know. I'm not like.
Here's the deal. I feel I get messages from people that go, I'm a gay person, or I'm bisexual. I don't know that I want to come out because I feel like I don't agree with like a lot of things that the gay people in the media do or say.
They need you even more.
Right. I agree. And I tell these people, I was like, you got to just be you. You got to be a
Be
real
you and they'll
person.
wrap around you. I mean, like right now we're waiting for.
Because I was thinking that there
Yeah.
would be more. Because you said something to me once. It was interesting. It was
Yeah.
years ago. You said like, you're like the next generation of gay person, where it's like
Yeah.
you had the original people who were like crusading against
Yeah.
all of the, and then you're like kind of the guy who's like, yeah, I'm just a dude.
I happen to be gay.
Right. It's part of the thing.
Like,
It's not the
I'm
central
not
thing.
straight Andrew on stage.
No.
Now I have that privilege or whatever
Yeah,
you want to call it,
yeah.
but where it's like when you're normal, you don't have to address what is normal.
Right.
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 Like I don't have to say I have two hands when I
Right.
walk on stage. Right.
Yeah.
That's the assumption. But at the same time, like I'm just talking.
Yeah.
Now you have a weird thing, and it's
Yeah.
different. I've thought a lot about this with being a gay act.
Yeah.
Is that like you have to come out every time you're on stage?
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. unless here's the thing. So if I do an hour set, yeah. But if I do a 15-minute set and I'm working on jokes that don't have to do with my sexuality,
Then you boom.
I
Yeah.
don't come out and go, I'm also gay.
Right.
Thanks for you
Right.
know. But in most headlining sets,
You have
yes.
to.
Yeah.
Now
Headlining
so-
sets, yeah.
And it is a weird thing where it's like I'm imagining
Yeah.
that like part of you goes, there's part of you that's going, well, I don't want to say this up front. I just want to be a comic. Why do I have
That's
to do it?
all of me because
All of you.
I do it 15 minutes, 20 minutes in.
Right.
I never come out because
And then-
in New York and LA, you get chips for being gay.
Right.
And I want to see what I can get away with without that because I present and sound straight.
Sure.
So if I have no idea if Rogan knew I was gay. If in the middle of that, he was like, how's your wife? I'd be like, she's great.
Yeah.
You know Karen? She's great. Boston lady, never shuts her mouth. But it's one of those things you do have to kind of come out because then you feel, if you don't, you feel like you're doing a disservice to like, maybe there's somebody gay in the audience that's like, well, what's this, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing.
Yeah,
You
no.
kind of have to be.
You have to present it. But then what
Yeah.
happens is you present it and it's like what happens to a lot of actors that come out as gay
Yeah.
after they've been famous.
Yeah.
we look at you like, yo, why were you lying to me, bro?
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Yo, why'd you lie to me, bro? Like, can
Right.
I trust you? Now I'm anxious.
Yeah.
I feel anxious right now. Like,
Yeah.
I was so comfortable before,
Right.
and now I feel like I don't even know you.
Right.
So then
Yeah.
what happens to gay actors who come out late is they just got to play weirdos now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what's Doogie Howser's name?
Thank God I'm playing that anyway. Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, like he's just
Yeah.
got to play Gremlins. Like he can't be just a guy.
Right.
He has to be like a mythical figure.
Well, that's why a lot of people don't come out. I mean, there's tons of actors that do not come out.
Don't come out after.
Yeah.
Because you're also leveraging the fact that you
But
can
here's
pretend.
why I don't care if they're comfortable. Because to me, I'm only trying to make you laugh.
Right.
That's all I'm ever trying to do.
Right.
So to me, for me to come out and have to just right off the bat be like, hey, I'm a fag, everybody.
Right.
I want everyone to be to me, I'm kind of like, that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I feel so like sometimes it's 5 minutes in, sometimes it's 10 or 15 minutes in. But to me, I've done it at the end of the set where people's heads are like, what? Or like they don't even know what
You know what I would do?
Yeah. What would you, it's interesting.
I'd have the host introduce you as gay.
Really? Is that true?
Swear to God.
Really?
And then
That seems crazy.
the first line would just be something like, no, he's right. Can we move on, or you guys need more time with this?
It's interesting.
It's like,
So,
can we
'cause
talk about whatever we
now-
fucking want now?
You're
Yeah.
making me think because maybe it is better to come out earlier.
You're
in the
doing
set.
it.
It's
you're
kind
not-
of interesting.
You're not doing it, and I know why
I'm
you're not
thinking
doing it.
like a comic.
Yes.
Right.
And you have every right to think like a comic.
But
we have
yeah.
to be pragmatic too.
I appreciate this.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's something to dabble in. I would try all different things. He doesn't have to be like, you'd be like, he's gay. I don't know. There's a way where it can be introduced where you don't have to use it
Or
as.
do I not mention it at all and then just talk about something that would?
No, it's like,
you have to.
no, he's right. I'm gay. You know, I
Right.
know you haven't seen this brand or whatever,
Right.
but like,
right. Yeah.
can we keep moving or we need to address this anymore?
Right. Right.
And that's
right.
your energy, which is like, you want to
Interesting.
get into it.
Yeah. I mean, my jokes are not. That's not why I'm funny.
Yeah,
You
but it's
know?
who you are, and I think like
Yeah.
in certain ways it gives you more leeway for your POV because you're
Interesting.
challenging
Yeah.
conventional wisdom.
Yeah.
So it's like your life is a challenge of conventional wisdom.
Right.
Of course, you're gonna think about blackface differently than most people,
Right.
Because you are wearing straight face
Right.
every day.
That's very true.
right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. For me, there's an interesting
That
perspective.
is my
there.
new special is called Straight Face.
Straight face done.
But what do you think is preventing people, the sports, people in hip hop
Yeah.
things? What do you think it'll take for that? Because I would think
They're
with
already gay.
2019 Oh, they're gay,
But they're not
yeah.
coming out.
Right. What is it going to take for them to?
I mean,
be
hip hop
out?
is wildly homophobic. Bro.
Sure.
Like, let's keep it real. with
Sure.
that, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's a
Sports
tough one.
probably too. Of course.
Sports have an interesting dynamic because they got they have the locker room aspect,
Right.
which changes things.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of these guys that are in sports grow up in a church.
Sure.
Right? We're talking about
Yeah.
majority poor blacks. that are
Well,
doing-
yeah, and even whites are religious, I would imagine, because they're from Southern or wherever.
Poor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's
Right.
not a lot of like rich kids that are elite athletes.
Right.
You just don't have the grind and hustle. You don't have the
Right.
survival instinct. You don't
Right.
need it.
Of course.
You know? So
It's the
I would-
opposite of comedy, where there's not a lot of poor elite comics. You need a little bit of that comfort.
You do.
You need to be like, well, why is the world the way it is?
what, for real, it's like
Yeah.
you gotta
Where did you grow up? Manhattan? Kid?
Manhattan. I grew up a couple blocks from here, Astor and
Okay,
Lafayette. Yeah.
okay.
So it's like, and absolutely in that same ilk. You know,
Yeah.
I would say like my mother was an immigrant, so I got like the immigrant mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my
well, you're a
father-
hustler. You work very hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's like both of my parents. It's like they set that for you. I think.
Yeah.
Like I saw my dad like work 18-hour days and like wake up and get bagels for us in the morning type of thing. So I
Right.
was like, oh, that's how you work.
Yeah.
So like the idea of I saw my mom stay up 3 days straight and learn
what
taxes.
nationality are they?
My mom's Scottish.
Okay.
And my dad is like Irish and
You're
German.
not Jewish.
No, most people assume I'm
Interesting.
Jewish.
Yeah. What's
we
the
could be
name?
like back in the day.
Right.
Back in the day, shit. But
Yeah.
like my dad's German side of the family came here in like late 1800s.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So you were raised around just hustlers, people that made it
just
happen.
hungry and like loved America. Like
go to-
my mom
yeah.
loved America.
You go to public schools?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I went to public schools here in the city, and but yeah, it's just kind of like the city's great in a lot of ways, but evil in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it took me till I was like maybe 34 to like believe in altruism.
Interesting. Yeah. You
And-
get your cynical kid. Right.
But it makes sense because like everybody's trying
In
to
Long
swindle
Island,
you.
I had to learn what altruism was and then not agree with it.
Yeah.
Say, fuck these.
But on some level, you gotta
crazy.
like,
Yeah.
like for me, that opened everything up, man. Like, you know, I was
Yeah.
too like worried about someone trying to fuck me over constantly and
Yeah.
and figure that out. And like, to be honest, I went to Burning Man. I go to this thing called Burning Man every year. Have you heard of Burning Man?
People have heard of Burning Man.
I don't know.
I hasn't heard of
I
Burning
didn't know
Man?
until I went a few years ago. I thought it was
love
like a
that.
rock concert.
Yeah.
And I remember like messaging my boy as he gave me a list of shit
Do you
to
do
get.
the whole thing? Do you like to eat mescaline and wear a costume? And
mescaline.
well, whatever.
just salad.
DMT and, no, wait. What is
Mescaline is just salad. That's
No.
like arugula.
No. Mescaline's a drug.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
I thought you get like a
absolutely.
mescaline salad.
You do that too, but no mescaline. It's the drug in peyote.
Do you do the whole thing? Like,
Yeah, like,
eat
yeah.
healthy,
Yeah, eat healthy,
yoga.
bike around. But do you do the whole? Do you drop acid and get on a?
Nah, dude,
no,
not
you don't
really.
do any of that.
No, I did Molly,
you
though.
don't strike me as a guy that does drugs.
No, not really. I mean, I did Molly. Molly was really interesting because it was like, you know,
Do
like
you fuck all the time? Where are your vices? Trying to find your vices.
yeah, sometimes
You
I would
used-
fuck, but
yeah.
then it's like you got to be careful with that one too.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I can party, I can drink a little bit,
Right.
but I'm not. I don't.
But you're
go
a
too
work
hard.
guy. I mean, you just throw
Yeah.
yourself into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I used to distract myself with work, and then I would
Yeah.
fall apart without it.
Yeah.
And the greatest lesson like I ever learned, and it's funny how things like take a while to grow into you.
Yeah.
You know, like, but like when everybody said no, it was this huge ego check, and like I just was really humbled by it, and then I was forced to get really comfortable with the idea of nothing.
Wow.
Right? Like now, nothing in America is not nothing in
Sure,
India, but
of course.
you know, like for me, just wanting to do stand up was everything.
Yeah.
And then not being allowed to do it on TV, I thought that was the only place you did it.
Yeah.
Was nothing.
Right.
Right. So like, and that was the best thing that could ever happen to me.
Yeah.
Because the second I got comfortable with nothing, if two things happened. One, you become fearless
Yeah.
because you can't take anything away from me.
Right.
Because then I'm back to that nothing place where I'm
Right.
comfy. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like in Dark Knight Rises, the jail underground. You know, he had to get comfortable in the darkness.
Yeah.
You know, like that's Bane was born there, right? So it's
Sure.
like, but Batman had to learn it.
Yeah.
I had to learn it. I was
Right.
too entitled. I was like, why don't I have this? Why don't I have this? Why
Yeah.
don't I have this? Who the fuck am I?
Right.
Right? It's like, fuck, stop reaching for everything. The second you stop asking, the world gives you. And it's
Interesting.
a glitch in the system. You ever see Ready Player One?
Yeah.
That's the message in that when he went backwards thing.
Right.
Remember in the first thing
Yeah.
he goes backward? I swear to God, the underlying messages in that is everybody's going to ask for handouts. And
Yeah.
if you go the opposite way, people will be dying to give it to you.
Right.
In a weird way, it works like that, man.
Do you have you seen your friendships with people change now that you've become successful? Like
I just want to help people.
Right.
As weird as that, and that's what I was saying about altruism. Like before, I truly didn't believe it, and then at Burning Man, like I was forced to. The whole idea is you just go there to give for a week.
Yeah,
that's
because
really
there's
the
no
crux
money,
of it.
there's
no
the people that are listening
people
don't know what
die
it is.
to give.
Right.
They die to give, and I didn't believe
it's a sharing economy, the whole
That's
thing.
all it is.
Right.
It's a gifting economy, not even sharing.
Gifting.
No barter.
gifting.
I'm spending my whole year waiting to come here and build a diner in the middle of the desert so I can serve you pancakes while the sun rises.
Interesting.
I don't want tips. I don't want money. Nothing.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's like
wild.
that shit opened me up a little bit. Like, so my cold, cynical New York heart all of a sudden kind of softened. I was like, oh, wait, you can really be, you can just want to give. And that started to grow a little bit. And I found the value in giving. And I was like, oh, wow. Like I was just taking, comics were horrible listeners a lot of times because we're just trying to fill the void. Like after a great set, when you feel full, you feel whole.
Yeah.
And the void is filled and you just want to share with people. You want to compliment them. You want
Right.
to like, that's what Molly taught me. For the first time in my life,
Yeah.
I had a surplus of love instead of the void of love that I'm trying to fill through stand-up.
You had more than you needed, so you said, let me give it to other
And I
people.
just wanted to give.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is a fascinating feeling and experience. I can probably get here without drugs in the right world, And the second I started having success, I just wanted to help people. I didn't feel, so much in New York with the comedy scene is like people validate themselves with like spots at the cellar, let's say,
Sure.
because they literally have nothing else to validate themselves with.
Right.
They can't sell tickets on the road.
Right.
Right. They might have a special, but nobody's watching it.
Right.
Right. They validate themselves based on spots. Right. And that's why there's a little animosity sometimes at the clubs between guys, because it's like, you're coming to steal, to take from me the one thing that I value.
Right.
And the second I started selling out these shows on the road and I was doing what I loved, and I just wanted to like help.
Right.
Folks, like I just wanted to be like, hey, you guys should try this with your Instagram, man. Like try this with Twitter. You know, it's like this is an easier way for people to access.
And people
your material.
listen now.
You're only a genius if you're rich or dead.
Yeah.
There's like for me, over a certain amount of money, my lifestyle doesn't change. But I recognize I need to make millions so that more people will let me help them empower themselves.
You ever think you eventually hit a wall with work and you're gonna want a wife and kids or a family or other
I should.
experiences
It's really
that'll
important.
deepen your
It's important.
understanding of the world?
Yeah, it's
because
important.
you've really done a lot with work, and I have arguments with people all the time that like don't want, especially heterosexual people that are like, oh fuck, I don't want kids, I don't want to. I'm like, guys,
you
what are
gotta
you
have it.
doing?
You got to have
What are
it.
you
man.
doing? Yeah.
I mean that's what all this like wokeness is about. They just don't have kids.
Right.
It's truly every one of these people at a march doesn't have a kid.
Right.
It's every one of these people protesting doesn't have a kid, man. It's all it comes down to.
Do you think there's no good reasons to protest though? Do you think there's no?
No, go for it.
Yeah.
I don't knock it. Like there's no good or bad. Things just are.
Yeah.
Like we got to
Yeah.
get out of that mentality. It's hard to wrap your head around that.
Yeah.
But like things just are, and sometimes things are unfortunate.
Yeah.
But like a polar bear is like a sweet animal to us.
Right.
Right. To a seal, that's a serial killer.
Right.
So like, what is good and bad?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Do you ever say to yourself though, like this is an egregious thing that should be protested? Like, you know, sure.
yeah. Look, I'm not like one of these like, how do I say it? Like, I'm not one of these like die on the cross, people for, certain issues, et cetera,
Right.
like that. Like I recognize the stupidity in all of it.
Right.
Right. It's just,
Like there are people out there that are like their entire thing is like fuck PC cult. That's their whole thing, which is fine, but it's like that kind of boils down to the thing. They just want to use the N-word
right
all the time, and it's like, well, we're
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have arguments with people. I'm like, do you realize how funny Louis had to be to get a laugh with that word? Like,
Right.
do you realize how good and adept
Yeah.
you have to be at what you're doing to do? So there are people out there that are kind of, because there's probably a lot of people that imitate you poorly.
right
And look at what you're doing and go, well, if I'm just that guy and
Right.
I want to be that guy, but
Yeah.
they don't know how to do it. They're
Yeah.
not funny enough to pull it off.
Yeah.
And everything you're doing comes from funny. You're not proving points.
Funny
up there.
first.
Funny first.
Funny
yeah.
first, exactly,
Yeah.
right? Because if we start trying to prove points,
Yeah.
we're no different than the woke comic.
100%.
It's the same
Yes.
side or
Yes.
the other side of the same coin,
Yeah.
right? Like what we want is funny.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I resonate is because it's funny first.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It just happens to be that I'm talking about these specific issues which we're told we're not allowed to talk
Have
about.
you ever met any of these comics that are, because I do a lot of those alt rooms, and
Yeah.
I am in situations with people where I will be like, they're very talented, but I think they're insane. Like I'll read their social media, I'll be like, I really believe this person is wrong about a lot of things,
Right.
but I'll look at them and I'll appreciate their talent. Are you ever in a situation like that where you'll look at somebody and go, they're really talented,
Yeah.
but I think what they believe about comedy is wrong.
Yeah. I think this is easier for comics to get than most people, but like once you start realizing that like everything in the world is and isn't,
Right.
not is or
Right.
isn't,
Yeah.
is and,
Of course.
that's believable. Everything is believable.
Yeah.
Right? Things are complex in
Yeah.
nature, right?
Right.
And us comics, a lot of times what we do, if you're a good comic, is you're exposing to people that the way they thought about the world is not entirely true.
Right.
We make you laugh so you don't kill us.
Right.
Because that is usually
How we have
a
to deliver the message.
Exactly. And we're the first people that die.
Right.
Like when a dictatorship takes over,
Right.
who's the first people to die?
Comedians.
Free thinkers.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're like the, not to romanticize us, but we're the philosophers. We're the, like, that's what we are. There is no such thing as philosopher now. It's
Right.
just comedian.
Right.
Right? Or like a guy who writes books. Like
Well, there
Chuck
are
Palahniuk.
philosophers, but no one cares. Sadly,
Exactly.
no one cares.
They don't fucking care.
There are.
And if they were funny, we care. Like Chuck Palahniuk, whatever
Right.
that, Chuck
Do you worry
Klosterman.
about that, though? Do you worry that we're living in a world now where in order to get anyone to care about something, it's got to be a spectacle? you
We
think
operate
that's-
in extremes. The internet operates in extremes,
Yeah.
and you have to accept that.
Right.
You have to accept that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why the Democrats finally got it right this election. Like last year, they just tried to be like, "We're not Trump,"
Right.
and I was like, "Well, that's just not how you win anything. You
Yeah.
can't win on not."
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because we
Yeah.
don't know who you are. I'm voting for you, but you're
Right.
not telling me who you are. You're telling me
Right.
who you're not.
Right.
Right. So it's like, would I book a comic act that told me they were not something?
Right.
No, I'm booking.
No. What are you?
What are you? Right.
Yeah.
So they did the extreme. Right. Conservatives go the extreme. What is it? Trump went the extreme on the right, and now Dems are going the extreme on the left. It's like we're going to tax you 90%. They're not really going to do it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they're going hard.
You go hard left.
Yeah.
That's how you make noise.
Right.
And then eventually when you get elected, nothing changes. Like everything never ever
Right.
changes, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same thing. But in order to get attention, you have to hit those extremes for sure.
Are you, other than stand up, is there anything else you want to do? Like to do? Do you ever want to do like put together a show? Would you ever want
Maybe.
to? Yeah.
My feeling is this, like, if I want to do it, I'll do it.
Right.
You'll never see me ever waiting to do anything.
Right.
So I made a decision that I was going to stop desiring things I couldn't control. And that was the most liberating decision in my life.
Right.
I had 3 cameras that shoot 4K. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? I have a full-time video guy that I hired.
Right.
I can shoot anything I want.
Right.
He comes on the road with me every single time.
Yeah.
I flew him and another guy out to do my special when we were in Europe.
And your special, is for people that don't know, is all over the world.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
doing shit in Denmark.
Yeah.
You're doing it everywhere.
Reptile, man.
What? Because you wanted to connect with people on that reptilian. I feel like I'm talking conspiracies now, but you wanted to get people all over the world and hit them at that base level.
That's it. It's in
Awesome.
you. It's already in you.
Yeah.
It's not like a funny word.
Yeah,
It's an idea,
of course,
right?
Sure.
And it's
these deep, instinctual, natural
that's comedy,
things
man.
you can't get rid of.
That's fucking comedy, bro.
Yeah.
So it's like for me, when I see people talking about comedy, right, and they're
Yeah.
like, there's certain you shouldn't make jokes about homophobia or
Yeah.
like sexism or like
Right.
racism or pedophilia or any of these things, right? And I listen to that, right? And then I think back about every street joke an old guy has ever told me.
Right.
Every street joke.
Yeah.
For anybody listening now, a street joke is like, 2 guys walk into a bar or whatever
Right.
like that. Every street joke functions with one of those 4 no-nos.
It has a target. Every joke has a target. Yeah.
Why, though? Why those 4?
Because I think those are the things that make people uncomfortable, or those are the things that
You're there.
you need.
You're there.
You need.
You
comedy.
need fucking comedy
Right.
to talk about because it's hard.
Right.
That's why comedy exists.
Yeah.
Because shit is hard.
But in the same vein,
It's not for unicycles.
of course, no, 100%.
Anybody who does comedy
Yeah.
about unicycles is wasting comedy.
Right. Unless you're doing it on a unicycle, which could be somewhat impressive. Depending.
No.
Right. Do you ever, though, but you say we as a society, we kind of evolve, right?
Yeah.
So do you ever say that, like, for example, a lot of the jokes that were made in that, whether it's the 90s or whatever, like making fun of a certain type of gay dude or effeminate gay dude that would use
Right.
a gay voice, that won't get laughs as much anymore. Just
Of course
won't.
not. It won't.
It won't.
Context. Context
right.
of time.
Context matters.
It's like George Washington was a
Right.
dick in today's time.
Right.
Back then,
Right.
he was a hero.
Right.
You have to judge people within the context of their time.
Well, I'm a monarchist, but he was. Yeah, I understand what you mean.
You're a
No,
what?
I'm a monarchist. I
Oh, you believe it?
I believe in
Yeah,
the English
yeah.
crown. No, no, 100%.
Make America Great Britain again.
Yeah. Do you ever? Do you get letters? I'm sure you get people all over. Do you ever get people that disagree
All the time.
with you all
But I've
the
walked
time?
through the fire.
Yeah.
People want to follow, right?
Yeah.
They want to be led.
Because I see people on Twitter. These are nobodies, by
Yep.
the way. But I'll see them, and I'm like, oh, they're kind of going at Andrew Schulz.
Yeah,
They're like,
all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
And they don't. What is the thing in rap? They don't name you. They're subliminal. This
Subs.
is what I mean.
Subs, yeah.
Subliminal. There's subliminally going. I'm like, that's kind of an Andrew Schulz. Sometimes somebody will say something about me. You're much bigger, so you get a lot more of them. But how do you like? I'm sure you ignore a lot of this, obviously, or all of it.
It was hard at first,
Yeah.
but like what I've realized about people is they want to be led. They just want to be led by the worthy, so they test your worthiness.
Right.
Right. They want to see if you could walk through the fire.
Yeah.
You know, and when you prove that you can walk through the fire, they stop
Right.
trying to light you on fire.
Right.
Because it doesn't work.
Well, Amy, all those people kind of went through that kind
You
of
have to-
initiation.
So when I went through it, I was called everything under the book.
Yeah.
Racist, this
Right.
fucking thing. It's just like, it's because I'm an opinionated person and I'm not willing to move those opinions based on your feelings. I'll
Right.
move them based on
Facts.
or logic or
Right.
empathy.
Sure.
Like I'll evolve my opinions all the fucking time.
Right.
Sometimes they'll become more progressive, sometimes less.
Right.
But they'll move based
Yeah.
on what I see.
Right.
But I'm not going to let how you feel about them dictate it,
course.
right? And when that happens and people don't know what to do and there's a paranoia here in America,
Yeah.
right? So it's like they went the fuck at me, like try
Yeah.
to cancel me. I've lost $100,000 on ads based on saying shit.
Right.
Like that's big money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like
What do you feel like is what gets you in trouble the most? What gets people the
now they
angriest?
stopped.
Now they're done.
So what happened is,
Yeah.
look, you might have somebody subbing. I don't know what you're referring to. If you're referring to like,
losers.
comics or something like
Yeah,
that.
losers.
Okay. So look, the thing is that, these people aren't on my radar, so I can't.
Of course.
I'm not hitting them. But and I feel like deep down, like I'm inspiring the people that have a shot at it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
as much care about the people who don't have a shot.
Right.
Because you get what you want in this business. A lot of times you don't realize
Yeah.
what you want.
Right.
Some people just want to be part of a community.
Yeah,
So they
that's
stop getting
a
better.
lot of them.
A
That's
lot
a
of them.
lot of them.
They
Yeah.
don't improve because they don't want to.
Right.
They don't realize it, but what they always wanted was some friends. So
Yeah.
as long as they can hang out at the creek or hang
Yeah,
out at the Cellar,
wherever.
New York Comic
Yeah.
Club, that's enough funny for them.
Right.
That's not enough for me.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I need to wear the belt.
It gets boring. Yeah.
I need to wear the belt.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like now I'm defining what makes me wear that belt.
Sure.
You know, so
Yeah.
it might not be based on ticket sales. It might be just pure art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's something I need to do. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Do you ever look at guys that are insanely funny who should have better careers than they do, and you want to say something to them, but you don't want to insult or offend them? Or do you ever look at people and you're like, man, if that guy did these three things, he would maybe connect?
yeah, I'm trying to think if there's people. Yeah, there's people I try to help. I mean, even now there's people that I try if I can. And
Yeah.
I think I'm in more of a position now where like people will take my advice.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see them go for it or like,
Yeah.
find that thing.
I
that
think it's
works
also
for them.
tough for comics of a certain generation.
Yeah.
What's happened over the last few years is seismic.
Yeah.
And it's big. And so the idea that you have to unlearn, because that's what I realized when
Yeah.
I started doing this show like 2 years ago and whatever.
Yeah.
I started building up things, and just doing, I've only in the last year I started doing little videos on Instagram that are funny and like
Great. That's how I found out about your show.
Yeah, they get like they'll go on Twitter and get 200,000 views, and it's like I made them in 5 minutes in a garage with a friend.
You are hitting on the zeitgeist.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you know what I mean by
yeah.
that?
I'm trying. Yeah,
Like you are touching something. It's our job to explain feelings.
yeah,
Okay? If you want to be a leader in this business,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, Sebastian, who I think is brilliant.
brilliant.
He taps into your feeling, right?
Yeah.
Is why are you wearing the sandals at the airport?
Right.
And we've all had that feeling.
Absolutely.
So we relate to it so beautifully
Yeah.
and it's gorgeous.
Right.
Patrice O'Neal taps into your feeling
Yeah.
and then explains it in a way you could never explain it. He's your guru now.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're tapping into feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why this reference keeps coming to my head, but for you, but it's like, Ben Shapiro?
I know Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, like, do you know?
He's like, and Patrice, and for you, Richard Spencer.
No.
Shows up to Charlottesville.
tell you why.
He's telling you the way it is.
Let me tell you why.
Okay,
So
please.
so here's
It's
the
very
thing with Ben
interesting.
Shapiro. Here's
I
the
wish
thing.
I had a subscriber base.
So here's the thing with Ben Shapiro, and we'll talk about how you get there.
Yeah.
But like, so the thing with Ben Shapiro is like, Ben Shapiro is followed by people who don't like Jews.
Right.
You know,
Interesting.
But they love being a Republican.
Yeah.
And Ben gives them the arguments they need
Right.
to equip themselves
To be a Republican.
to be a Republican in a public environment. They can't wait to bump into a bleeding heart liberal.
Right.
They can't wait.
They're ready.
Because Ben gave them the sauce. Ben gave
got
them the juice.
He's giving them all the fucking bullet points.
So there's dudes
You
out
meet
there
those people at dinner. They're just waiting to get into it.
waiting,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
And we've all heard the same lines, and it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are people that have never had a gay friend. Maybe
Right.
don't hate gays, but like, man, just like whatever. It's weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But they fuck with how you feel about the world.
Yes.
You only need to connect to people on one or two things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's why you can vote for someone who says horrible stuff about a
Right.
different community. You're
Yeah.
like, well, I don't know that community.
Right.
What are you doing for me lately?
Yeah. Well, there
Right?
was this story that just came out where like a lot of these Brooklyn socialists have wanted to start their own dating app just for socialists. And I'm like, oh, you guys, and it's the same thing I feel about Christian Mingle. It's like, oh, you don't understand how love works.
Yeah.
You don't understand these deep, that's why you don't understand the economy. It's because you don't understand like these instinctual natural forces at work that you need to take them into consideration
Absolutely.
when you're it's like I know people that disagree with each other but love each other.
Yes.
Because it's a fucking primordial feeling. Yeah.
Reptilian, bro.
Reptilian. Yeah.
It's in here.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. But like I had to unlearn because like when I got in, people like, don't put it out until it's perfect.
Okay.
Don't do it.
So let's go into that.
Yeah.
This is a very important thing for people to understand.
Yeah.
What's happening right now in this business, and it's not just stand-up comedy, it's in entertainment in general.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the perestroika in
Yeah.
Russia? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's happening with entertainment.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yes.
We're talking about overnight millionaires, not billionaires, but we'll be overnight entertainment millionaires. And it's happened already.
Right.
Happened on Instagram.
Yeah.
People go viral. People go crazy. And all of a sudden they're millionaires, right?
Yeah.
And
Bad Bobby, Bad Baby.
Bad Baby. Yes,
Dr.
yes,
Phil.
yes, right? So, and it's because the nature of viewing entertainment has completely changed. It's like we were talking before about like, TVs back in the day, the shows weren't that good. They
Right.
were just competing with nothing. There were 10 channels.
Yeah. Some of them were good. Some of them, no, you don't give a Hill Street Blues, NYPD Blue, ER.
Maybe. I
Any
don't
of that
know.
stuff?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I gotta rewatch. But
Right.
like if somebody was like compare, Game of Thrones to like NYPD Blue. It's
Well,
like,
yeah, Game of Thrones is a different game.
Yeah,
Sure. Well,
right?
yeah,
So
things
like
have evolved.
So things have evolved, right? And which is natural progression. But before you're competing with staring at your wall, right? So that there was the TV and then there was your wall.
Yeah.
So what is more entertaining to stare at? That,
The TV.
right? So I watched the TV, right? And they got fat,
Yeah.
right? Because that was the only thing. They're like, I could put anything on here.
Yeah.
I could make a show about 3 Muslim trans kids,
Right.
To be, to be
Right.
progressive and showcase
Get a
these
nice
things.
article written.
Boom, and
Yeah.
you're gonna watch it anyway because it's either this or your wall.
Yeah.
And then what happened was the internet came out and it wasn't just the wall.
Right.
It was your phone.
Right.
And everything became a screen. And your TV became the shittiest screen.
It's the least interesting option.
All you can do on that is watch. This I can text. This I can call. This comes with me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now viewing changed. Now we have different tiers of viewing. Now there's long form movie, Game of Thrones or whatever. Now we have short form like Subway viewing, which
Yeah.
is I have 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm not going to watch Game of Thrones because too many distractions, but I'll watch YouTube.
Right.
I'll listen to something with I'll
Yeah.
do the ears. And then we have I'm uncomfortable in this moment. I need a little bit of distraction. That's Instagram,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So this TV show is on one platform.
Yeah.
And only one way to access it through viewing. Your clip, that can be accessed when you have time at home. It can be accessed when you're on the subway. And it can be accessed when you're at a bar and you don't know what to do and you feel a little uncomfortable and you just want to look like you're doing something.
Right.
Right? So now you're
Right.
tapping into all 3 different ways that we can listen to you
Yeah.
or watch you or consume your content, right? The special, because we'll go into how sitcoms are dead too, by the way.
Yeah.
There'll never be another sitcom again.
I agree. Yeah.
You want to know what sitcoms? Okay, this is how it
But I
fucking
think
goes.
shows like a Curb Your Enthusiasm or shows like that in that vein. No?
That's over.
It's all over. It's all over.
There's
Except 2
you
minutes.
could be grandfathered in to it, meaning like we could
You
bring
don't think-
back.
You don't think there'll be another half-hour funny show?
No.
Never. Andrew Schulz says it here.
No. Now it can be grandfathered in.
Veep on HBO is a funny
Grandfathered in, right? You're taking a woman who's wildly famous from Seinfeld, and you're tapping into those. I'm talking about a brand new Friends.
Okay.
A Friends, like you don't know any of these people, and then it just pops up in a super. And I'll tell you why it hasn't, right? And
Yeah.
it's already been replaced, and it's right in front of us, and nobody even realized it, right?
Yeah.
So if I ask you about your favorite scene in any sitcom, which was it? It doesn't have to be the best. You could just give me a
I
scene you
love
remember.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. To me, I love the scene where Susie Essman is like they're hiding Jeff's porn. Larry's hiding his porn, and he's watching, and the Jeff's parents walk in and catch Larry.
Yeah.
Watching this porn, and Larry just said, "I had dinner with this guy, Gil Bang, the other night." I like whatever.
Now, Curb is a little different because it is narrative based, and there are stakes to Curb.
Yeah.
Okay. And
But I could say Frasier. So I'll say my favorite scene in Frasier.
Yeah.
Was when they're having some dinner party and everything's going horribly wrong.
Right.
And it's a funny show.
Do you remember what happened at the beginning of that episode?
No.
You remember what happened at the end?
No. I just remember that scene. The best scene, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's why they're dead.
Okay. Well, is that because we can't focus on a half hour anymore?
No.
What?
It was never important.
Right.
The narrative, the story arc was a farce to fill 30 minutes. All these shows are 5 sketches.
Yeah.
With people that we like. That's all they were. Here's a sketch about the dinner scene. Here's a sketch about muffin tops on Seinfeld.
Why wouldn't that still be relevant today?
Because right now in this economy, in this content economy, we want exactly what we want.
Right, okay.
I want this scene.
Right.
Give me the scene.
Yeah.
Give me muffin tops.
Right.
I don't need a 20-minute story to get me to muffin tops because I don't even care about the end of the beginning. Drama, we still care about end of the beginning.
Yeah.
I can tell you the beginning and end of a Sopranos episode. I can't tell you the middle.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it's interesting because now we want things to be catered directly to what we want.
Right. Well, of course, because that's what the internet does, right? It makes it niche. So let's look at it right now. So now what sitcoms will be, they won't be narrative anymore. They'll just be the same group of people recreating sketches as those characters, right?
Okay.
Now, if you go on Instagram right now and you go to some of these Instagram comics pages, what do you see?
That's happening. Yeah.
Now, right now, the unfunny people are doing it.
Yeah, but the funny people eventually will do it.
Why do you think I blew up pretty much right when I started it? Not pretty much right when I started, but like very soon.
Well, because people wanted that kind of content and they wanted it to be funny. They wanted actual good content delivered in that way.
We are the fucking... You know when like in the Wild West town where everybody's kind of walking around and everybody's, going to the saloon and in and out of the saloon.
Yeah.
And then the fucking... The cowboy shows up and you just see his boots.
Yes.
You don't even see him yet.
100%.
You know what I mean? A fucking cigarette hits the ground. He turns it out. And you hear that little
saloon
metal
doors
thing.
open. Yeah, swing open. Yeah.
That's us.
Right.
No one is funnier than us.
Right.
On the planet.
Right.
We do the hardest version of funny.
Right.
Which is not put on a wig and act like a lady in an Instagram video.
Right.
We walk in front of a crowd
and test the shit.
Tell them to shut the fuck up.
We're going to talk.
We're going to talk. You're going to listen. You're going to like it.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the second we enter this environment, it's over.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just taking a while.
It's taking a while.
Does any of this, do you look at any of this stuff and go, I'm disappointed that people can't focus on more than a few minutes?
They can. That's the illusion.
Okay.
So
they can.
We'll get into that for the specials.
Yeah.
But so
some of this world that you thrive in.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to thrive in.
You are. You've been empowered by it. It's already happening.
100. Yeah, it's 100%. And I look at it though, in some of this world, I'm disappointed by the. I look at some of the things I go, overall for society, is it a great thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you why. Because it empowers us, and anything that empowers us.
We're spending 8-9 hours a day on our phone?
That's not good. Sure,
okay.
I hear you about that. No. I thought you were going a different way, like creatively.
No.
Spending the time on the phone is not good, and we got to get off it. Absolutely, 100%. But we also have to be pragmatic and go, some people really need that.
Yeah.
Some people's days really suck. And I'm sure you get emails and DMs all the time where they go, man, my day was so fucking
Yeah.
shitty. I was in a hospital recovering,
Yeah.
and I watched your video, and it like
Yeah.
changed my.
I always tell
fucking-
them my day was worse. They'll be like, I have cancer. And I'll be like, let me explain my day. I had a meeting with True TV. They're not even real. Okay? They don't even exist. And I had to sit there for an hour. You get to die.
So it's like, so it's one of those things where like, where what we do is, I guess we can get into like the idea of the special, because specials are dead too. So, excuse me. So
Is there anybody special over the last year you've looked at and you're like, wow?
I haven't watched. I don't. When I'm in like the creating phase, I don't watch.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Well, I
like,
don't really watch a ton either, but
I don't watch that either. But also,
Yeah.
especially when I'm writing,
Okay.
I don't watch.
Gotcha.
And when I'm like performing a lot, I don't watch. I
Yeah.
rarely watch.
Right,
Because you see some guys that are so good. You see a Chappelle, and you'll
Yeah.
start going like, "Oh, maybe that's how I should do it."
No, yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah.
you can only be the best you. At least
That's
that's
a great
my
point,
hustle
yeah.
with this. So it's like, but like what the only guys that we shouldn't do in the specials are guys like Colin Quinn, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like the whole special has a purpose.
Yeah.
Right. The whole thing has a message, and even
Right.
then, I would break that up into pieces. But
Right.
the reason being, let's talk about the time. What is
Attention.
it? Attention span. Yeah.
Because people you say they can, but they need to be invested first.
Yes, it's intimacy.
Right.
Okay. So it's like there are people that are going to listen to this entire podcast.
Right.
Because they are intimately connected to you.
Right.
Okay. Now, if I said to you or anybody, I was like, hey, check this guy out. He's going to talk for an hour.
Right.
You would tell me to go fuck myself.
Right.
But if it was 1980, you tell me to go fuck myself.
Right.
Nobody wants to listen to anybody talk for an hour.
Right. Right.
Okay. That I
Right.
don't know. That's
Right.
an hour of my day.
Right.
That's insane.
Right.
Right. So what I did is I put out 3 minutes. People have 3 minutes and 2 minutes. Okay.
They do. Yeah.
And then after they watch that 2 or 3 minutes, YouTube suggests another bit. And then they watch that. And something crazy happened. My YouTube guy hits me up like maybe 20 weeks into our project, or, putting out all the clips. And he goes, hey man, something wild's happened. I'm like, what's up? So like they'll watch a video and then they'll watch for 2 hours. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, for whatever happens is they get in like a wormhole with you and they'll watch for 2 hours. And I go, so people aren't watching a Netflix produced special with the most famous comics in the world all the way through for 1 hour. And they're watching double for 2. And why is it? Because humans like to make the choice themselves.
Yeah. They have the freedom.
They choose, I will watch another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I will watch another 5.
Right.
I will make another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's snooze.
Right.
You hit snooze
Yeah.
on your phone. I'll take another 8.
Yeah.
I'll take another 8.
Yeah.
Right? I found a way where we could digest. Like I look at myself as like the first SoundCloud comedian.
Yeah.
Like, SoundCloud rappers?
Yeah.
It's like make it digestible enough and they'll watch more than they would with an hour. The idea that something's an hour is absurd. It doesn't need to be, unless you're Colin Quinn who has a piece. You know what I mean? Even in all my specials, there's a through line in it. But like, why would you have one access point when you could have 6? This one, I'm dropping a new piece every single Sunday, right? Somebody might find it in India through the Trump grabbed a pussy joke. Somebody might find it in Czechoslovakia through this tranny joke. Somebody might find it in Kentucky from this period joke. But now we have 3 different ports of entry
Into becoming your fan.
into at least watching a piece of it. And then I believe in the content to whereas if you watch one, you'll keep on watching them.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you give them more access points? The only reason you wouldn't is because a company is paying you a lot of money
Do
to
you
not.
still have an agent and a manager, or do you basically
Fired
say-
my manager.
Okay, that makes
But
sense.
it's just, she just didn't get it. She
Right.
just didn't get what's going on because she was
You're
really
more of
great.
a manager than she is. You know,
Exactly.
right?
I don't need a babysitter. Some people do. Some
Right.
comics and
Yeah.
I know comics that they need a babysitter. I need a producer. I don't even know what managers, and I'm not knocking managers. I just
Right.
didn't even know what they did. Like I didn't
Yeah.
even know that they would book my flights. Like when anybody does anything for me, I'm shocked
Yeah.
because I'm so used to having to do it
Right.
myself. Like I remember like profusely thanking my manager's assistant for booking these flights, and he had to tell me, he's like, no, it's okay, bro. Like that's what I do.
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like-
you're like, wait,
But
what?
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
so like my agent who books my road stuff, shout out to TJ at Gersh, he's a beast, and we're on the same level. But and we had to have that conversation where it's like, I had to sit people down. I had to basically tell them, and some people don't like this, but they're like, but I was like, I have a very clear vision for what I want. Incredibly clear. I know exactly what I want to do, and I know exactly how I want to get there. I won't expect anything more from you than what I ask, but I'll expect everything I ask. And I don't need you guys to like think of cool ideas or how we can get there, and I don't need you to set up meetings with people like this cool producer. We don't need to do any of that. I just need you to trust that I know where we're going. And it's amazing because it's met with skepticism, but when they start to see it happen,
yeah, they just sit back.
Dude, you see how, like, this sounds like a weird thing to compare it to, but like, you see how people can like believe in a prophet. I'm not talking about myself as a prophet, but like when you have complete skepticism and then you see somebody do something that you thought wasn't possible.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you just kind of, just like, you see their face go, okay, how do you want to do it?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now we're off in the races. And
Right.
if you don't get it, then it's okay, man. Like, no hard feelings whatsoever.
Yeah, just,
I wish you the best.
It's not. You're not. You want people around you that are going to let you take the reins because this is what
we have one shot at this, and it's our career.
Right.
So let me fail for me.
Right.
If I fail, I crash and burn. I can rest knowing that it was on me.
We work very hard to find products and services that you guys will love and appreciate, okay? If you know a company that wants to advertise on Gas Digital, let us know. Reach out to me, okay? Go to gasdigitalnetwork.com/advertise and use our show code HELL, H-E-L-L, so they know that we sent you. So if you own a company or you know of a company that might want to advertise, we get great download numbers here. We have a very engaged audience and fan base. They do read the product. They do use the products. If you think that your product will be a good fit, hit us up, see what it is to advertise, and use the promo code HELL, H-E-L-L, so that they know that Tim Dillon's Going to Hell sent you. I appreciate it. And listen, if it's dark web, we do that too. Doesn't have to be legal. Drugs, kids, weapons. Why are you giving me a face? Why is my producer giving me a look? Why are you giving me a dirty look? I'm trying to make this network money, and all I get is people stop me. I'm just trying to make us money. We got a lot of fucking pussies here that don't want to take the next step. Okay, fine. So no illegal shit. But if you're legal, okay, and you sell shit that our audience would like family court lawyers to get their kids back or to give their kids up, please, gasdigitalnetwork.com/advertise. Use show code HELL because you're living in it. Thank you. Charlemagne seems like a guy that works his ass off too.
Insanely hard.
Insanely
hard and wildly talented.
Right.
Like unbelievable. He is the best at saying something sticky. Like you give him the microphone
right.
and it will be sticky. Whatever he says, it will get out there in the world and it will be sticky.
Yeah.
It is a incredibly impressive skill. And like as a comedian who's supposed to say that stuff, like I need to curate it. I need to refine it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can just go.
You can just go.
Scalpel.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, but man, it's completely changed. And it's like, that's the thing. Like any comic that has any questions, most comics I think now that like sometimes they're a little hesitant to ask me or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, don't be hesitant to ask me. It's like, this is what we're in this together. Like as soon as comics start realizing it and empowering themselves, you're going to see everybody wants to uplift. Like I just want, like I have this, it's so funny how comics are. Like I'll tell a comic, like, yeah, man, if you got a joke of yours that you want to get a little traction on, like I'll put it up on, my YouTube. And I want to start doing that after the specials, like bringing other comics into unsafe sets.
Awesome. Yeah.
If they fit under the umbrella of unsafe material.
Yeah.
And like sometimes comics have that, like, they're like, so like what happens with the revenue? And it's like,
Oh, that's insane.
buddy.
But people are mentally unwell. Yeah, you're trying to help. See, you're trying to help people. Well, it's like, listen, it's like
I'll give you the $40, buddy.
when you take
I'll give you the $40.
It's
for
like
your
you take somebody on the road to feature.
Yeah.
And then you the next day they're like, hey, I noticed you were 7 other places. So can I go to those? It's like, dude, relax.
Ask for nothing, you receive everything.
Yeah, that's such a great, yeah.
I'm telling you, man, I truly believe, like, I was never like I never felt, at least, like a darling of the comedy community. I always felt kind of maybe outside of it a little bit, and maybe it's because I grew up in New York and I had like my friend group here.
Yeah, and you're also having a different experience with the city. I think a lot of people are coming to the city from other places. They're having a different experience.
And you probably understood that too.
Yeah,
because
from the
Long
Island.
Like,
I was an actor as a little kid. I was in from 6 years old to 12 years old. I was in and out of auditions in the city all the time. I just knew it.
So it was a comfortable thing for you.
It was a comfortable thing. It was a different. I'll never have the experience with New York. I think New York. I think Joan Didion or somebody smarter than me said she said it. Basically, like, we'll never understand New York the way somebody understands it who pulls up, who's never seen that skyline in person, from the South or the Midwest, and fucking walks into this place at 21 or something, or 19, and goes, I'm going to make a life here. Well, because we're 2 in Central Park.
Yeah. It's like you don't know your mom is hot.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't know my mom's hot. No one does.
I've never seen your mom.
A lot of people,
you know what I'm saying, right?
She's huge on Instagram.
Is she really?
No, Andrew, she's not.
Fashion Nova.
I love how you look at me. Like, is she? But she gets it. Your mother gets it.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like, you're so close to your mom, you can't see her as like a MILF, whereas your friends are like, oh my God, your mom's so hot, or some shit like that. Like, that's New York to us.
Who are your best buddies in New York that aren't comedians? Who are your...
I mean, all my friends.
Yeah.
Like, all my friends are from here. Like, I went to school up the block,
What do they do? Are they finance guys? Are they this? Are they that? What do they do?
My best friend in the world, Jameel Hibbert, shouts to Jameel, is he works for TripAdvisor.
Okay.
And he's like a ad exec, but like...
Yeah.
And so like he's there, like another best friend of mine, but he lives up in Toronto, and these are just the people that we kind of grow up with.
They must be amazed at seeing what's going on for you, and that must be awesome.
Yeah, but I also think that, like,
they connect on a different level.
No, like, I don't know, like, they kind of saw it happen with me, like they wrote it with me, and I think if people believe in you, then it's like a matter of time thing,
right?
Like they could see it, and they saw the work that went into it, so they were there for like the highs and the lows,
right?
So it's always, it's probably exciting for. I mean, I'm trying to bring Jameel into this new thing. Like, we're starting an ad agency, like a media group, because we just weren't getting enough ads for our podcast, and we've created this amazing like community within the Patreon, and like people really rallying behind this type of content, and I want to pitch ads to brands specifically with this, like, not like, oh yeah, don't worry, they'll behave, that was a weird episode. Like, no, they're wild, they're outlandish, they're uncensored, they're unfiltered, and people love that. Do you want to be part of that? I don't want to lie.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want you to know exactly what you're getting into, because I think there's a massive market for that. And I think we can and people are hungry, man. It's like amazing how many people have reached out that have like legit ad careers already, and they're like, we want to help you build this thing.
That's awesome. And what you're doing something on Instagram now is called Unsafe Sets.
So every Sunday I drop a new clip, right?
Yeah.
And it starts with me, but eventually that's going to be like eventually that's just going to be a show. Like, I'd love to do 2 shows, for example, at the Cellar, and have 10 comics on each show, and like talk to the comics before, and like pick out 3 bits that like would fit that 5 or 6 minutes that are unsafe. And then, like, I'll have fucking 60 jokes from other comics that I believe fit this kind of like unsafe style of material that doesn't really have a place in the industry right now, but has a place in people's, hearts.
Do you think that'll change? Because the industry believes in nothing, and they just, as Doug Stanhope said, they're blind coyotes lunging at whatever makes a sound.
Yes, the industry is...
Do you think they're going to realize eventually that none of this is catching on?
It will change after my special.
Yeah.
Now... that seems like an arrogant thing to say.
Yeah.
It is not meant in arrogance, right? Like, if you saw, okay, the industry is a sailboat, okay? It can only go where the wind takes it. You understand?
Yeah.
It cannot go into the wind. It goes where the wind goes, okay? So in order to change the industry, you have to be the wind, okay?
Yeah.
So, like... There's this great story that I feel like I've told in every podcast, but I'll tell you about it, about how Nescafe got into the Japanese market, right? And what they did was they called up this consultant, and they were like, hey, how do we get in? This consultant's like a genius. He's like decoded every culture in the world. And he's like, you can't get in for 15 years. And they're like, why not? He's like, because these people don't know what coffee is. They have no memory attached to coffee. It means nothing. You're trying to be tea and you're not tea. It's a different thing. And he goes, so what you got to do is this. You got to make a cartoon and for kids, and then you got to make a candy based on that cartoon. And that candy is going to be flavored as
Coffee.
yes. It's going to smell like coffee and taste like coffee. 15 years later, you'll be able to get in the market. Last week, they just opened the biggest Starbucks in the world in Tokyo.
Wow.
Japanese people devour coffee. They're like fucking science experiments. There's beakers going up. Like they have perfected and are obsessed with coffee, right? And it's because you didn't take the sailboat to Japan, right? You like planted the seed in Japan and grew it into the culture.
Yeah, organically.
So like when I do that thing that's 15 minutes, right? That could never happen. Like the Netflix 15s couldn't happen before they saw it work.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? They saw it get 1 million views on a channel that didn't have close to 1 million subscribers, 100,000 subscribers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? Like Comedy Central would never do that show until they saw it, right? Even Ray Romano's new special where he's going from the cellar to the underground. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not saying they copied me.
Right.
I'm saying I made that okay.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's
Well, you
doable.
Listen, you put it out there before, other
It's just
people-
doable. I'm not talking about people steal, like Comedy Central steals, but like Netflix and these types of things. It's just like, this is allowed now. It's okay. So what I say about this special is, if people get behind it, and I think they will, you'll see the industry go, oh, this is okay. Like I got a Trump grab the pussy joke that says he's 100% right about it.
Right.
And the dislikes on the joke are like 50.
Right.
That's insane.
Right.
Like I get more dislikes on anything else.
Well, because it's funny.
It's funny. So you can do it as long as it's funny.
Yeah.
And that's what this will prove, but it has to be done outside of the typical. So that's why I had to do it on YouTube. I had offers, but I said no, because sometimes shit is bigger than you. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I need to put this out here so you and I can do this type of comedy.
You seem to have a sense of purpose to what you're doing that other people
It's bigger than you, man.
Don't have. Yeah.
It's got to be bigger than you.
Yeah.
It can't, like, once you get to a point where you can sustain, it's what we were talking about, Molly. It's like once you get, these people who need $1 billion are sick, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, like,
but you've also defended them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, but they're also sick.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, because the second you become a billionaire, you're the poorest billionaire. Like, it's a stupid goal.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you think you're rich then? Not the billionaires.
Right.
You're barely allowed in the club.
Right.
You know? So you're literally back outside waiting at the red rope.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, at a certain point in time, I realized over a certain amount of money, my lifestyle doesn't change. I've made $500,000 a year. I've made $200,000 a year. My lifestyle didn't change.
Right.
So I go, okay, anything over this, I'm full, like the Molly. Once I'm full, I gotta give back. I gotta provide. And if I take a hit, if I'm spending $35,000 to edit my special, that's worth it if it moves the industry in a way. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's hard for people. I don't want anything from anybody. Like people have specials coming out, and I'll just sit down with them and I'll be like, hey, let's find a way where you can get the most of this. Let's get 15 minutes of that material. Let's chop it up and let's put it out. Let's do, I know you're doing it here, but I think we can still make an impact.
Yeah.
You only need a single. You know what I mean? Like specials are an album.
Do you, and by the way, I appreciate you doing this. Final question, because you really laid out, I think, not only for comics, but for a lot of people that are waiting on someone to stop waiting. Do you ever worry that some of this stuff, like, crowds the art out of it, where it's like you're so good at marketing yourself, you're so good at reaching people,
right?
Do you ever worry that it's going to zap some of that energy that you have for creative stuff?
It does.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, for me, it's like I'm delicate with that creative process.
Right.
You know, like that's the most, like for me, the joy is creating. Anything that happens after that is icing on the cake.
And with stuff you need to do.
Stuff I need to do.
Right.
But like,
and you can enjoy it too. Listen, you can enjoy things you need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude, but like once I fell in love with creating instead of in love with the outcome of creating, everything changed.
Right.
Right? So it's like, if people watch, sometimes people don't watch a clip, and I thought it was really good, but they're like, they just didn't resonate with them.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Because I love making it.
Right.
You know, and sometimes people love a clip that I thought was just okay, it was a B joke.
Right.
But that's cool too. It's like,
okay, yeah.
I'm operating with the joy from creating. Like this podcast.
Yeah.
Let's say something happened with the audio.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go out.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
I love this convo.
Right. It was a good conversation. Yeah.
This is the first time you and I have had
I'm not
extended.
okay if there's something wrong with the audio.
But we can do it
people are
again.
gonna be killed.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. 100%.
so it's like, I was doing this interview with a friend of mine to do a feature for me for Penthouse, right?
Yeah.
And the audio just got lost, and we had like an hour and a half convo. And I swear to God, I was like, back in the day, I'd probably be like, this would happen to me.
Yeah.
You know, here's this opportunity for whatever.
Now you're like, who cares?
She was just so cool.
Yeah.
And we like, it was cool to connect with her.
Right.
And I said, if you want to do it again, we can. If not, that's cool. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So it's like, I'm here as a resource.
Yeah.
You know, and anything I do, I hope you improve on.
Yeah.
And then tell me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I hope you're like, hey man, if you resize the video, it gets more views or some shit. And I'm like, all right, bet. Like,
right.
Once, and I promise you that will happen once comics get a little bit of financial security.
Yeah.
I promise you, we'll start going, yo, Dylan, you got to get on my shit.
Yeah, do this, do that, right.
Or Dylan, come on the podcast,
once people
man.
aren't gnashing their teeth.
For resources, right?
For resources.
Once they're not fighting, right?
Yeah.
Once we're like, all these people who are philanthropic are well off.
Right.
It's hard to be philanthropic in Haiti.
Right. It's tough.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Right. But if you're up in Connecticut, it's like, yeah let's give some money.
Yeah, sure. Let them have soup.
Let them have fucking soup.
Right. I appreciate it. Andrew Schulz, if people don't know who you are, and they all do, where can they find your shit? Andrew Schulz on...
Go to YouTube. The Andrew Schulz. No T in Schulz. Check it out, man. And, watch a clip. You know, if you fuck with it, watch some more. Simple as that.
Go in for it. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. I got to get you on the show Inside Jokes, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate
That's
it.
going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
That's a good one for like what we do. I don't know if you've seen it.
Well, I've seen Giannis. Giannis is one of our regulars.
He's
here who comes in.
Yeah, he's so
Giannis
good on it.
Needs to. He needs outlets for his. He needs to be able to go.
I think we're going to shoot his special.
I love him. I adore him.
Yeah.
He's great. So that's fucking on. If that's the case, that's great because he's the best. Yeah. So thank you for coming on, dude. I appreciate it. Everybody check it out. And timdillacomedy.com, dates, Tim J. Dillon, Dillon on Instagram and Twitter if you guys aren't there. And try to rate and subscribe, review to this podcast. Next week, we have Nick Bryant coming on, talk about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. He is the foremost expert on sex trafficking in America. He's been on the show before.
Whoa.
It's going to be intense. That one's going to be intense. So that's next week. All right. And then Colin Quinn, who did not do the show, spent 15 minutes with me on the phone telling me why he's not doing the show. We recorded it. It's great. And we're putting that out with this episode. That's also going to be a separate clip. So thank you, everybody. Goodbye.